It was a cold January afternoon in 2013 when students at Lowndes High School in Valdosta, Georgia, stumbled upon a sight that would shake the town and later the entire nation to its core. Inside the school's gymnasium, hidden away in a corner among rolled-up wrestling mats, lay the lifeless body of 17-year-old Kendrick Johnson. The discovery was horrifying. His face was swollen beyond recognition, his body twisted in a manner that defied explanation. It was the kind of scene that sends shivers down your spine, the kind that raises more questions than answers. Kendrick was an active and well-loved student, a talented athlete with dreams of making it big. He had his whole life ahead of him. His parents, Kenneth and Jackie Johnson, had never imagined that dropping their son off at school that day would be the last time they'd see him alive. But as news of his death spread like wildfire, the official explanation offered by authorities seemed almost too bizarre to be believed. According to investigators, Kendrick had died in a freak accident. They claimed he had reached into one of the tightly rolled-up gym mats to retrieve a shoe and, in a tragic twist of fate, became stuck. Unable to breathe, unable to escape. It was a theory that, from the very beginning, didn't sit right with many. How could a strong, athletic teenager simply get trapped inside a mat and suffocate? Why were his injuries so severe if this was merely an accident? Then came the autopsy report. The initial examination ruled his death as positional asphyxia, supporting the accident theory. But when his family pushed for a second independent autopsy, the findings were nothing short of chilling. The report suggested something far more sinister. Kendrick had suffered blunt force trauma to the neck. More disturbingly, his body had allegedly been tampered with. His organs were missing, replaced with newspaper. That was when whispers of foul play turned into full-blown accusations. Kendrick's parents refused to accept the official story. They believed their son had been murdered, and worse, that a cover-up was in play. The school, law enforcement, and even federal agencies became entangled in what was quickly turning into one of the most controversial and mysterious deaths in modern American history. But if this was murder, then who was responsible? And why would someone go to such lengths to conceal the truth? The more questions Kendrick's family asked, the darker the story became. Key surveillance footage from the school's cameras was missing critical moments. Witnesses remained silent. Allegations of police corruption and a racial cover-up began circulating. Every new detail seemed to lead deeper into a web of deception. Then came another shocking twist. Kendrick's body had been exhumed not once, but twice. With each new examination, more unsettling details emerged. His body had been severely altered post-mortem. His brain, heart, and other vital organs were missing. The funeral home claimed they had never received them. If true, this raised an even darker question. Was someone deliberately erasing evidence? As the Johnson family fought for justice, powerful forces seemed to be working against them. Documents went missing, evidence was destroyed, and key figures refused to talk. It seemed as though the deeper they dug, the harder it became to uncover the truth. And then, just when the world thought this case couldn't get any more unsettling, a shocking revelation emerged, one that would change everything. As Kendrick Johnson's family demanded answers, they encountered something even more chilling than the mystery itself: silence. Law enforcement remained firm on their ruling of accidental death. Despite the glaring inconsistencies in the case, the Johnsons were left with no choice but to seek the truth on their own. One of the biggest red flags in the case was the school surveillance footage. The Johnsons obtained the video recordings from the gym, hoping to find clues about what really happened to their son. But when they reviewed the footage, what they found only deepened the mystery. Crucial moments were missing. The surveillance cameras inside the gym had captured Kendrick walking toward the mats. But then, inexplicably, the footage jumped. Several hours of recordings simply vanished. The missing time conveniently covered the exact window in which Kendrick is believed to have died. Experts hired by the Johnson family later determined that the footage had been edited and manipulated, fueling suspicions that a cover-up was in play. Even more unsettling were the reports from students who had been in the gym that day. Some claimed they had seen Kendrick before his disappearance, yet their statements were inconsistent and, in some cases, even contradictory. Others, when asked about that day, refused to talk at all. It was almost as if someone had silenced them. Meanwhile, the Johnsons continued to uncover disturbing discrepancies. The funeral home that handled Kendrick's body made shocking admissions. They stated that his organs had never been returned to them after the autopsy. If true, that meant the original medical examiner had failed to account for critical pieces of evidence. Where were Kendrick's missing organs? And why would they be removed in the first place? The Johnson family was relentless. They took to the streets, protesting for justice. They pressured authorities, demanded investigations, and refused to let their son's death be ignored. But with each push, they seemed to hit a wall of resistance. And then a name emerged, one that sent shockwaves through the investigation. A name tied to one of the most powerful families in the region. A name that, if connected to Kendrick's death, could explain everything. But could the Johnsons prove it? Or would the truth be buried forever? As the Johnson family pursued justice, their search for answers led them to a powerful and well-connected family. Rumors began swirling about two brothers, sons of an influential FBI agent, who had allegedly been involved in a confrontation with Kendrick before his death. While no official charges were ever filed, the accusations refused to fade. Witnesses who might have provided crucial testimony remained silent. Some sources claimed they were afraid of retaliation, while others mysteriously changed their stories. Attempts to subpoena school records and communications were met with resistance, leaving the Johnsons more convinced than ever that someone was pulling strings behind the scenes. The FBI's involvement in the case only deepened the suspicion. Despite mounting evidence suggesting foul play, federal investigators eventually closed the case without filing charges. For the Johnson family, this was yet another painful blow in their relentless fight for justice. The deeper they dug, the clearer it became. Someone was protecting those who might be responsible, but who had the power to suppress the truth? As the years passed, the Johnsons refused to back down. They filed lawsuits, demanded the reopening of investigations, and continued to speak out, even as threats and intimidation mounted against them. Their fight for justice had become more than just about Kendrick. It had become a battle against a system that seemed determined to bury the truth. Would they ever get the answers they so desperately sought? Or was Kendrick's case destined to remain a chilling, unsolved mystery? Just when it seemed like the case was at a dead end, a whistleblower came forward with explosive new information. This individual, who had remained silent for years, alleged that key figures in the case had actively worked to cover up the truth. They provided new evidence that suggested Kendrick had been in an altercation before his death, one that ended with fatal consequences. Documents that had been previously sealed began to surface. A leaked report suggested that several individuals were involved in a cover-up, ensuring that the real cause of Kendrick's death never saw the light of day. The more people demanded answers, the more obstacles the Johnson family faced. Court cases were dismissed, investigations were shut down, and it seemed like those with power were determined to keep the truth buried. Despite this, the Johnsons refused to give up. To this day, they continue to fight for justice, refusing to let Kendrick's story be forgotten. With every protest, every lawsuit, and every appeal, they push forward, determined to bring the truth to light. This case remains one of the most controversial and chilling unsolved mysteries in American history. Will justice ever be served? Or will those responsible remain untouchable? If you want more gripping true crime stories like this, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned. Justice isn't just about one case. It's about making sure these stories are never forgotten